So let us begin with a prayer. Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dundvaditam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Egam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhudam Bhavaditam Trigunarehitam Satgurum Tam Namah. Bhavaditam Trigunarehitam Satgurum Tam Namah. We salute all our teachers, including our parents. And all the gods and all good people who served mankind. Om, peace be, peace be, peace be. Okay. So our goal is pretty clear, no doubt about that. Our goal is Sadanandam Akhandanandam, unbroken bliss, energy, inspiration, creativity, love. You can put as many words as you want. That's our goal. And that we have to attain in this body, living in this world, as we interact with the world, doing our work. That is a challenge. That's a challenge. That's what's called Jivan Mukti. And I'm not going to compromise with that. Nothing less than that is acceptable to me. And to you too. And in search of that, you have wandered all over the world. Climbed the Everest, went under the ocean, split the atom, landed on the moon and now you are thinking of landing on the Mars. And you have tried all kind of bodily thrills, emotional thrills, intellectual concepts, went all over the world. And still you remain dissatisfied. That's what is happening. There's no satisfaction. Of course, you have written a big autobiography. You fought many wars in the process, colonized many people, exploited nature. Everything you have done. And still you are dissatisfied. This fact has to be accepted. And at the same time, you are not ready to give up. Therefore, where will you go? And we have developed certain wisdom out of this wandering around. Out of some wisdom we have developed. What is the wisdom? What I am seeking is something which is existing. I don't have to create it. It is non-separate from me. And it is beyond the body, mind, ego complex. That's what called Ashari. See? So how do I get it? So we have seen to get it, there is no effort necessary. What you have to do is to know it. When you know it, you have it. And knowing is not an effort. For example, here is a computer in front of me. I just open my eyes and see it. There is no effort involved in this. So knowing involves no effort. So if it is already existing, non-separate from me and subtle, then I have to know it. So tad vijnanartham guru meva abhigachet. To know that, you go to a teacher, a guru. That is where I left you last time. We go to a guru, and engage in a conversation with the teacher. You are not just sitting under a tree and waiting for the crow to drop its dung upon you. That is not what you are trying to do. You are going to a teacher, a guru, who seems to be happy, though he doesn't claim. No teacher makes any claim, I tell you. You have to feel it. You have to feel it. You must feel certain rapport as you see that person. That person can be a male or a female. So you go to that teacher and engage in a conversation, which is called samvada, not vada, not argument. Because it's very easy to defeat the teacher in argument. Because he will easily give up. There's no point in talking with this boy or this person. So what you are engaging in what you call samvada. Samvada means a conversation to know, not to win the argument. To know. You engage in a conversation with the guru. And who is the guru? We have already defined. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, who can handle words properly. From the wisdom tradition. And not only that, he walks his talk, or she walks her talk. That is why it's called a guru. Makes no demand upon you. Such a person you approach and engage in a call. So that two words are very important. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, one who can use words. Because it is through words we can experience that cognitive shift. There is no other way. There is no surgery possible there. Or drug will not work. So we engage in a conversation with the teacher. So the Brahma Sutra, because I told you, my talks are based on the Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is analyzing, discussing the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. All these are discussed in the Brahma Sutra. It gives you the fundamental vision about life. So the Brahma Sutra, the first sutra was Adhado Brahma Jijnasa. I repeat because it is better to repeatedly understand this. Adhado Brahma Jijnasa. Thereafter means having experimented with all this. Thereafter, therefore, ataha. Therefore means what? What I am seeking is something already existing. Vastunishtatvad. It is existing. It is non-separate. It is subtle, so I cannot see it. I have to just be it. So, because of that, ataha, therefore, Brahma Jijnasa, I am inquiring into this Brahma. Jijnasa means Jnadum Ichcha Jijnasa, the desire to know, not the desire to conquer, not Vijigisha Jijnasa. Vijigisha means the desire to conquer, to possess, to control. Here it is a desire to know, to align with it. So, Brahma Jijnasa. And then we have seen the outlines of Brahman also we have seen last talk. Now, when you come to the teacher, there are certain criteria in this inquiry. So, we have also seen it is not just a self-enquiry. Self-enquiry leads to, that morass of memories. And you can go back. What Patanjali says, Pratik-prasava. Regressing backward. You can go on regressing. You can go on ad infinite. It doesn't help. You feel like after you have fallen into a tar pit, you are not able to get out of that. So it is not just a regression going backward or not going forward, just imagination. So it is just in the middle. You are just in the middle. So this attitude that it is not an inquiry into just a self-inquiry, you have to have Brahman inquiry. So Brahman inquiry will prepare your brain, your mind, your body, your mind, your emotion to take that leap, to take that wonderful jump into the into this profound experience that we are seeking. So the mind is to be prepared, the body, mind, ego, complex is to be prepared for that. That's why this Brahma Jijnasa we are undergoing. It is not just a self-enquiry. Though some people advocate just self-enquiry, you just think and shake your head and scratch your nose and then try to conduct an inquiry. That is not going to help you at all. At the end of it, either we have seen you get a headache, or you sleep, or you curse yourself. This is what I am. There's nothing more than that. Because when you are in a problem, you cannot solve the problem. You get out of that. So the self that you know today, even the modern psychology, self means what is presented to your consciousness, your memories, your desires, your frustrations, all those things. This is your self. Beyond that, no self is known by this kind of objective inquiry. So we are trying to take you beyond that morass of memories so that you can look at it, so that you can deal with it. Sometimes you have to endure it. Sometimes you can change it. Sometimes you have to accept it. But you are happy because you are beyond it. You are only looking into that. That's just full of memory. So you can deal with that. So that's our attempt here. So this attempt here, the Brahman inquiry. So where is Brahman? Where is Brahman? Brahman is in these words. Through these words, we have to inquire into that. The words of the scriptures. I know when I say the scriptures, you may have your own doubts now. There are many scriptures, and which scripture I should take and all that. We will deal with that problem. So here the scripture means our collective experience, our collective consciousness, our collective wisdom, I should say. And the tried and tested and peer-reviewed wisdom. Every culture that peer-reviewed, tested and wisdom. And these wisdoms are almost the same. We don't find much difference there. So this collective tried and tested wisdom, which is there in the scriptures, whether it is a Quran or Bible, or of course there are certain other things also. There are some unnecessary things are there, but we must have intelligence to remove and take the kernel. It's like a chocolate. The chocolate comes with the package, isn't it? You don't eat the package, you only eat the chocolate. So you must have the wisdom to separate the kernel from the chaff. That is what you need a guru. So in a samvada, you will be able to do that. So this collective wisdom is packaged in with this kind of thing, which you have to remove, then do that. So you should have a hermeneutics, a way of mimamsa, understanding the meaning and the significance of the statement. Sometimes these statements you have to see the implied meaning, the sentence meaning, the implied meaning, the experience, various levels of meanings are there. So it is the collective wisdom tested and peer-reviewed also. Because there are several rishis, several enlightened people who have come and learned it and experienced it. So this is the peer-reviewed wisdom. Also, some people say this is an elitist wisdom. Only Brahmin are allowed to learn that. They created the wisdom. That's not true. We find, when we studied the Upanishads, we find a potter. One of the Upanishads is given by him, the potter. Then the meat seller, Vyadha, meat seller. Then a grocer who is selling grocery, Tuladhara. All these people have contributed into the great stream of wisdom which has been coming down like the Gangas from the top of the Himalayas to us. So that's the kind of wisdom we are. So when you study this wisdom, when you pour over this or reflect on this, then otherwise your experience can be idiosyncratic. Idiosyncratic means your personal experience, which has to be doubted. Oh, that's yesterday I saw God sitting on the Mount Kailash, let us say. True, when you go to Mount Kailash, because there is very little oxygen there. I myself experienced that. I saw gods everywhere. Dancing Ganesha, dancing Shiva, dancing and all that. So it can be, positive oxygen created experience. Or you take a drug, you get an experience. Or you do tapas. Tapas means you forgo food and then sit in a cave and all that, then you get certain experience. Or, you just to entertain your audience, you may tell stories. Audience may get entertained and then you get some money and all that. That's not what you do. So, this scriptural wisdom is a time-tested wisdom, and it becomes a corrective to your personal idiosyncratic experiences. Otherwise, you may get lost in that. And you may live in your own lotus eater's world. Therefore, it should be scriptural. Those words are very important. Those experiences are very important. And at the same time, it should be yukti. Yukti means rational thinking. Don't give up rational thinking. The rational thinking makes your experience very practical. So Shankaracharya says it should be Shruti and Yukti also. Rational thinking. Study a little bit of science. What does science say? What does psychology say? You can study all that. So it should not be against your rationality, your practical thinking. And it should help you live a practical life in this world. We don't want you to sit in the cave and live the rest of your life there. We have already seen we have to be very actively involved in the world. Then alone your experience becomes deeper and wider. Because we have seen in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you become a Vishwamanava, a human, we can embrace everything. So rationality need not be given up, should not be given up, and rationality should know its limits also. Rationality can take you so far, thereafter you have to make that leap. So rationality is not given up. In the very beginning you give up rational thinking because your guru said it is not, reason cannot take you there, so I have given up studying everything. Then you become a moron, that's it. Then you become a moron. So rationality is very, very important. Rationality knows its own limits. That is called rationality. Science itself knows its own limits. They won't venture into areas where they have no tools to experiment. So therefore, rationality should not be given. And then, at the same time, deep experience, anubhava. So these are the three criteria. What are the three criteria? Shruti. Shruti means the scriptures, your collective, time-tested, peer-reviewed wisdom, which has been formed from various streams, various types of people experiment and contributed to that. And at the same time, rational should be practical. If somebody says the fire is cold, it is said in the Bible, fire is cold. Are you going to accept that? You're not going to accept that. Even if it is in the Bible or the Vedas, I am not going to accept that. Because that's not tallying with my personal experience, my practical world. And third, anubhava. Anubhava means you should have deep conviction about that. Not because my guru said I accept that. No. Or scripture said I accept that. I put my energy into that. I try to live that. And it has to become my deep conviction experience. So that the little pinpricks of life will not disturb you. Otherwise, the scripture says your nature is happiness. When somebody calls you a donkey, then your happiness disappears. Then you say, no, I am not happy. So these three criteria is very important. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava. Then you should not give up. Always, all these three areas should be very, very alert in you, or very, very alive in you. Then alone your experience becomes deep, solid, and you are able to face the challenges of the world, because you can become old, physically old and sick, and then you can become friendless and all that possible. Though if you have this depth, then nothing can shake you. Otherwise, you start questioning your teacher, the scriptures, or this has happened to me, and now you start questioning and you become a cynical person. We don't want that faithful. So keep all this. So finally we understand Brahman is something to be known. The knower of Brahman gains. Not something to be captured or produced or constructed. It's something which is existing. I must know that. That should be very, very clear. So some people say, let me upasana, do meditation upon Brahman. What Brahman are you meditating? Do you know what Brahman is? Without knowing, without a general idea, you cannot meditate on Brahman. So Shankaracharya is very clear, not upasyam Brahma, but jneyam Brahma. After knowing it, you can meditate for clarity and then consistency and then rootedness. That's a different question. But before that, we must know Brahma. So this is one clear understanding necessary. I have to know it. Now, how do I know it? So the teacher uses the scripture or these words. Therefore, the next step is the Brahman. To know Brahman, you have to reflect on the words of the scriptures or the Upanishad or the Bhagavad Gita. Words of the scriptures. Therefore, Brahma Jijnasa becomes Shastra Vijara. Please understand that. We are taking a lot of exit now. You should be very clear about that. If you make a mistake, then you will not understand the whole thing. Brahma Vijara becomes Shastra Vijara. Shastra Vijara means with the study of the scripture, reflecting upon the scripture, the Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, or the Yoga Sutras, or such scriptures which talk about the transcendental truths. So, Brahma Jijnasa becomes Shastra Vijara. Therefore, one of the sutras in Brahma Sutra says, Shastra Yonitvad. This Upanishad, the Brahman has Shastra Yonitvam. Shastraha Yonihi Yasya Idi Shastra Yoni. Brahman, the means of knowing Brahman is a Shastra. Shastra means the scripture. That is how you know Brahman. Shastra Yonitvad. And this Shastra is, again, another meaning of Shastra Yoni, Shastram Yoni is, this Shastra is revealed wisdom. So there are two meanings for Shastra Yonitva. That is one sutra in Brahma Sutra. Shastra Yonitva. The scriptures are revealed wisdom. How does it become revealed wisdom? He says there's a term, Yoga Drishtihi. So yogis, those who undergone this discipline, yogis, they get an insight into that, or they get this revelation. Yoga Drishti, or Rishi Darshanam. The Rishis could directly conceive this or understand this. Yoga Drishti, so these are technical words. Yoga Drishti. For example, in the Bible, Moses was, walked 40 years with the 400 or 40,000 disciples or followers. He come out of that Egyptian slavery and then crossed the Red Sea, and then he, in search of the promised land, he walked and living on manna and all that. And ultimately he got tired. People start fighting with him, and finally he cried his heart out, Lord, show me the path. And then he saw the burning bush, not our bush, the burning bush. We have a bush, and he burned a lot of countries, and that's a different question. So therefore, the burning bush, and then Moses, removed his shoes and walked up, and then the burning foot burning bush spoke. My God. My God. Is that possible? Rationally, it's not possible. Burning bush cannot speak. But the Rishi is trying to convey certain way of receiving understanding and wisdom. It's a metaphor. It's a story. And take that tablet, write down. So this is how all the scriptures say that. Upanishad also. Yajnavalkya or such rishis, they contemplated the human condition and the helplessness that we are going through. Then their heart opened and the wisdom dawned on them. So we have to give some allowance for that way of knowing things. It is not only peering through the stethoscope or microscope or telescope. That alone is not the way of gaining wisdom. There is another way. So there is a lot of discussion about the pramanas. How do we gain knowledge? This is called pramana analysis there. How do we gain knowledge? And how do we gain knowledge? How do we prove it? Verify it? How do you falsify it? Knowledge. Because now we are talking about knowledge. Brahman is to be known. If Brahman is to be known, how do we gain knowledge? That also is very important. So there is pramana. Pramana means the epistemological discussion. How do we gain verifiable knowledge? How do we falsify our knowledge? In science also they talk about falsification. Karl Popper and all those great thinkers, they talk about falsifying knowledge. You have a theory and then you try to, research means try to falsify that theory. That is what research is all about. Verifying is easy because you can select some experience and information and you can verify it. Falsifying is difficult. The true test of a knowledge is the falsification. So therefore your knowledge is always provisional, not absolute. So we cannot box ourselves into this thinking that there is only one way of knowing. Look around, whatever falls in your sense organ, that is the only truth. Or whatever you can infer. Inference. There are generally we accept two ways of knowing. You open our eyes, see things. Oh, here is a fruit, here is a table, here is this man, so that's the truth. But truth is much deeper and more than that. Then you see some smoke there, let's say. Yeah, I see a smoke on the mountain, that hill. You see smoke. But what do you infer? You infer there is fire. Infer there is fire. Somebody says you are a very intelligent person. What you heard is intelligent person. And what you infer? He's trying to pull my leg, isn't it? That's what we're inferring. He's trying to pulling my leg. So you have to infer certain situations. It is not only what you hear and the dictionary meaning of the word. So therefore generally we accept two ways of knowing. They are called materialist. One way of knowing is open your eyes or look through the telescope, periscope and whatever is revealed, that alone is the truth. But even modern science has gone beyond that. Now they are talking about the Big Bang. Have you seen that? No. It's an inference. It's an inference. Or you say there were stars which was born and existed for 2 billion years and then disappeared, and now you are seeing it after 2 billion years, so that star is not there, and still you say you're seeing it. But you infer it is not there. Or you start breaking the atom and going deeper and deeper, and you say it is only a field of potentialities. So science has moved a long distance, but we are still lagging behind. We are still believe the earth is flat and all that. So therefore, it is not only the pratyaksha pramana. Pratyaksha means direct perception, sensuous perception, is the means of knowing. And even that pratyaksha pramana also there is a lot of mistakes. Brahma is there. Brahma means wrong information is possible. Then you have to correct it. Similarly, inference also there are Brahma possible. There's a lot of analysis on this. What is right knowledge? What is wrong knowledge? What is imaginary knowledge and all that. So from all this analysis, we have come to the conclusion there is mainly three ways of knowing. Epistemologically, three ways of knowing. One is direct perception and your amplified means of perception also. Like telescope, periscope, etc. And the other is inference. You may not directly see it, but there are some telltale marks from where you can infer the existence of certain things, and later you can go and see that if you want to verify it. And the third is what is called aptavakya, words of experience to people. They are called aptavakya or shruti. And most of our knowledge is not direct perception, please understand. It's all gathered from aptas. Aptas means experienced, knowledgeable people. We study, you go to school and you learn from teachers and then you read books. And so from there you gather 90% of your knowledge. So we have to give allowance to that means of knowledge also, knowing. Of course, you have to verify it. You have to experiment with it, verify it, and make your own experience. So here we are talking about the third method or third episteme. What is that? Shastra. Wisdom. Collective wisdom. Because this is about life. Life you cannot dissemble like a flower or an atom or anything. If you dissemble life, then life is lost. Isn't it? If I cut you apart and try to find out where is your consciousness, will I see it? I will not see it. So life is a whole. It has to be understood as a whole. And that whole includes your body, your mind, your memories, and your world around you. The entire system is, you're a flower of the entire system. Billions of years of evolution. You are the flame tip of existence. It is not available for analysis. It is available for reflection, meditation. So that should be made very, very clear. So the path here, the methodology here is different. So we are, in our effort to understand who we are not simply sitting under a tree and shake our nose. We are engaging in a dialogue with the experienced person. And that experienced person, the medium of dialogue is words of the scriptures. And we are allowed to ask questions, relevant questions. And we should have the patience to listen to the answers. And the guru must have the patience to listen to the question. How dare you question me? No, that's not the guru. Guru will invite your question because you are a really genuine seeker. You are in a quest. You are not simply questioning. So we have to accept the scripture. From all this analysis, finally, you and I agree, yes, scripture is a means of knowing the transcendental realities, which is not available for my perception, my inference. At the same time, those realities influence my daily life. If that doesn't have nothing to do with my daily life, I don't have to inquire into that. If it's only a transcendental truth which has nothing to do with the world, then I don't have to inquire into that. That transcendental truth affects my daily life, my happiness. So there is an invisible code, connection between what is terrestrial and what is transcendental. That's why we are interested in that. Otherwise, we feel somebody is pulling the strings from behind. As Bhagavad Gita said, Ishvara sarva bodhani hridesha arjuna tishtadi. Yandra rudhani maya. As though we feel we are on a merry-go-round and somebody is pulling that and the strings like a puppet show. We feel that. And we want to know the root. Who is there behind? Hi, who is there behind? I want to know. So therefore, let us accept this scripture as a means of knowledge. Knowing these kind of. So that agreement should be there. Otherwise, I will not get your attention. I will not get your attention. Your attention is possible. You will put your emotions into this discussion, provided you understand this is the only way, means of knowing. So once you accept that, intellectually convinced about that, then the scripture becomes alive. Words become alive. Words carry conviction. So we accept the scripture. It's not pratyaksha, it is not anuman. Pratyaksha means direct perception. Direct perception means sensuous perception. Please understand. When I direct perception mean I see the computer in front of me, this is direct perception. You will not be able to see like that. You will not be able to see Brahman like that. Nor is it an inference. Then how do what means of method I have to adopt? I adopt this method. With the help of my guru, we discuss based on the scriptures. That is how we are thinking. So our thinking is not a loose-footed thinking. Our thinking is a disciplined thinking. Disciplined inquiry. So we accept that the Shastra as the pramana. That's the word used. Pramana means prama jayade anaya iti pramanam, by which you gain the knowledge of Brahman. By which you gain the knowledge. At least you know the word Brahman. Hold on to that. I told you, it's like a chewing gum. Put it in your mouth and chew it. Don't give up that word. That word is very important. That word is very important. Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. You can keep on saying that. So that goes into the system. So the Shastra become the Pramana. Pramana means means of knowing. You have to think about it a little bit. How the Shastra become a Pramana, means of knowing. Is it just a verbal knowing? No. First of all, it's a verbally. You have to understand the words. Then you have to go deep into that, which we are going to do. So having accepted that, now the next question is that, can I read the scripture independently? Why not? I am waiting for my flight and I am sitting in the airport and they say this flight is delayed. Then I went to the bookstore and I saw Upanishad. I bought it and I went through it. The Upanishad, by the time the flight is announced and I threw the Upanishad in my hurry and I'm on the flight. In the flight, I wanted to know where is the Thyself gone. If this kind of study will help you, just a casual reading like you're reading now. No, that's not the way. You have to study the Upanishad with the help of a guru, the teacher. That also is very important. You have to study the Upanishad. That is why Acharyavan Purusho Veda, the Upanishad says. Acharyavan, who is interacting with the teacher, with the means of the scriptures, they alone. Another exit we are taking now. Another exit we are taking now to reach our destination. So, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, a teacher. So, you have to read, it's not reading the Upanishad, but listening, hearing. Shravanam Kuryat. The Shastra says, Shravanam Kuryat. May you listen to the Upanishad, not from the tape recorder, but from the living Acharya. You have to listen to the Upanishad. Acharyavan Purusha. Now there is another doubt now. There are different Acharya, they are all, discussing different ways. They are interpreting in different ways. So which Acharya I have to take? Because this world is full of Acharyas now. Which Acharya take? So again, Shankaracharya says, it should be, what kind of Acharya? Sampradaya Vidha. who is committed to the vision of oneness. Committed to the vision of oneness. So there is an a priori commitment before you interpret the scripture. That a priori commitment is very important. A priori means before you enter into the Upanishad, you should look for, you should have a commitment of oneness. That the whole thing is one phenomenon. And I am in that. So that inclusion, oneness. I will give a little more inclusion, oneness, justice, equality, freedom and all that. Love and all that. But basically all of this will come from the idea of oneness or ahimsa, non-violence. Non-violence means accommodating everybody's interest. Nobody is excluded. So that commitment is very important. So once you have that commitment, you have the intellectual resource to analyze this scripture. So that is the commitment. That's called Sampradaya Vidha. Sampradaya means the tradition. You must have heard it from your guru must have heard it from some other guru, like that it goes. Gurus are not born from yesterday's rain. They have got a deep connection. So you must have a certain sampradaya, certain traditional commitment, certain a priori commitment to things. With that we have to. So if the scripture says that guy is your enemy, therefore kill him. No, I balk at that scripture. Because it doesn't agree with my inner spirit. Or that villagers are your enemy, that tribe is your enemy. Go and kill their animals and women and children and everybody. No, I'm not going to accept that. So that kind of a commitment is very, very important. So I have told you three things. It is to be known. Knowledge is possible by analyzing the scripture, studying and reflecting on the scripture. Should be the help of the teacher. The teacher should have certain commitment to fundamental principles. And that principle is ahimsa and oneness. Then alone the scripture will speak. Such a teacher, such a scripture, we come. And then inquiry begins. I hope you are with me. At least, these 5, 2 more lectures, you be with me. With this conviction, you have to be here. Otherwise, it doesn't help. Now, when you come to the teacher and the scripture, they use the word Brahman, we have told you. Let me give you some meaning of Brahman. Some meaning. One meaning is Brahatvad Brahma. Brahatvad Brahma. The Brahma Sutra saying that, after saying that Adhava Brahma Jijnasa Shastra Yonitva, Shastra Yoni I have explained. To know Brahman, you have to use Shastra as the Pramana. And also Shastra is a revealed wisdom from Brahman, Yoga Drishti and all those we have seen. Now the Upanishad, the Brahma Sutra says, Janmadhyasya yataha. What is this Brahman? We are trying to. That word, we are trying to. We are looking to. That word is so pregnant. It contains all wisdom in that word. So our rishis have used one word to contain all the wisdom that we are seeking. It's a cornucopia, isn't it? That wisdom, all wisdom is there. And what is let's say the word meaning of Brahman? Brahman means Brahatvad Brahma, the big. The big. Now you keep on reflecting on that. What is that big? Brahatvad Brahma. Brahat means big. What is that big? Maybe a big mosquito. Maybe a big mountain. Maybe a big elephant. These are a qualified bigness. Isn't it? That's qualified bigness. This is unqualified bigness. Or you can say big means the space. Space is so big, isn't it? Or a big country, big space. So that also is qualified. So here Brahman means unqualified bigness. That bigness is which is all accommodating bigness. But at least you can, intellectually, you can think of an area outside space. You can think of that at least. Or beyond time. So time space is not that big. There is various understanding of time space. That time space is a mental phenomenon, mental construct. According to Kant, time space is a mental construct to experience things. It's a modality of experiencing things, according to some other philosophers. It's a mental construct. So there is no agreement on what time space is. So let us say time space is big, it can accommodate everything. But time space also is accommodated somewhere. Where does time space abide? It is in your consciousness, isn't it? Your consciousness, my consciousness. So consciousness becomes a substratum for time space. Therefore, what is the big? The big is consciousness, chit. That's the word used, chit. Consciousness. Reflect on that. So when you say big, it is consciousness. Of course, that consciousness reflected in your mind become your consciousness, which is limited, which is perverted and polluted by your mind. Like a sun reflected in the water disturbed, the sun's reflection also disturbed. So you say the sun is disturbed. Sun is not disturbed. Only the reflected sun is disturbed, isn't it? Have you seen? You take a bucket of water and shake it, and the water shakes, and the reflection in that also shakes. Similarly, your body is the bucket, mind is the water, and their consciousness reflects. Body is disturbed, mind is disturbed, so you think I am also disturbed. You are not disturbed. Only the shadow is disturbed, the reflection is disturbed. So therefore, what is ultimate, what is that big, the all-accommodating big is consciousness. And the Sanskrit word for that, chit. Chit. Satchidanandam and all that. So chit. And the other meaning of this word Brahman is Vardhanat Brahma, which vibrates. Vardhan, vibrates, spandam. So the Brahman can vibrate and manifest the whole universe. And this vibration is without any disturbance. Brahman is not overflowing because of this vibration. It's an internal vibration. And the word Sanskrit word is spanda or prana or om. These three words are used. Om is a vibration. Prana, another word, spanda is used. So it's an internal process, nothing from outside. When there are waves in the ocean, at least the wind comes and creates that wave, isn't it? Yeah, nothing from outside. It is self-created vibration. That's for a play, let us say. So you can call it Om or Prana or Spanda. And as a result of that, the whole universe manifests. And universe manifests, universe exists, then it goes back. The Upanishad says, Janmadhyasya yataha. Janma adi asya yataha. Janma adi means birth, etc. What is birth, etc.? Birth, growth, and come to a plateau, then decline and disappear. That's called Janma adi. Janma adi means Srishti Sthiti Laya. Creation, growth, and declining. Everything is subjected to this law. There is one universal law which is applicable everywhere. Everything manifests, grow to a certain plateau and then decline. That is a universal law, isn't it? You are born, you grow, and then you become old, then you die physically. A thought arises, exists for some time, then it goes. A concept arises, exists for some time, then it goes. Everything is subjected to this law. And we must be ready we must accept this law. Anything which is born shall die. Tatrako paridevana, Bhagavan says, why are you worried about that? Why are you stunned? Why are you shocked? Tatrako paridevana. Why are you worried? This is the law of nature. And we have to accept that. So therefore, Brahman is capable of this expansion and contraction, this within itself. So when it vibrates, the universe arises. When it stops vibrating, the universe collapses. Let's say the Big Bang. I can use that word. In the Big Bang, the Om, the Prana, etc. So that is another definition of Brahman. That's why the whole thing is a vibrating consciousness. Information. The whole manifestation, the whole is a set of informations. It's an algorithm. It exists and disappears. So that's the second definition of Brahman, Vardhanad Brahma. Vardhana means it vibrates, it grows, it expands and contracts, expands. When it contracts, it becomes a point of singularity. That's why in the Tantra Shastra, Bindu Nada Kala. Bindu means a point of singularity. Then it vibrates. Nada. Nada means a sound. Kala means a form. If those have seen Sri Chakra. Sri Chakra depicts this truth. Sri Chakra has got a central Bindu, then 4 triangles upward, 5 triangles downward and all that. And then 48 small triangles, then circles around it. So that is pictorially depicting this phenomenon. Bindu. Bindu means point of singularity. Everything can collapse into a point of singularity, including time-space. Which is discussed in the modern science also says that. I'm not saying that we are talking science now. We are a little more than that. So the point of singularity, the time-space itself collapses. And from there, it expands. So Brahman is capable of doing that. Therefore, it is spandam or vibrate. Oh, prana. That's why we do omupasana, pranopasana and all that. And third definition of Brahman is, let us say, vruddhatamatva. Vruddhatamatva means the source of everything. The bija, the source. Aham bija pradapida, Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. I am the bija. Bija means a seed, from which the whole tree, 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Udhamula madha shakam. Ashuddham prakuravyayam chundasi yasya varnani yastam veda sa veda vida. So from that, the tree grows downward. So it is the seed, the point of singularity, where time-space collapses. And all objects collapse there. And therefore it is called Vruddhatamatva. Vruddhatama is the most ancient, the beginning, the source. The point of beginning, from which everything manifests. So this is Brahman. So 3 words, 3 meaning. One is Brahatvad Brahma, Chit, Vardhanad Brahma, Spanda, or Prana, or Om. And third definition is the point of singularity, the bija. Bija means the bindu. Bindu means a dot, a point, from which everything comes. So this is Brahman, this is what you are inquiring and trying to understand. And where are you now? Where are you in this Brahman scheme? Think about that. Where are you? Where is your body mind? Where is my body mind? Where are these mountains, oceans, seas, and all that? Where is time there? Where is space there? Where are the moon and stars there? One has to. So that's that way your intellect expands. It understands. You understand the issue, the depth and the width of the issues. Understood. So this Brahman inquiry one has to do. That's why Brahman is defined here. Janma adi asya yata. Asya means this world. Asya of this world. Janma means birth. The world, Janma, world emerges from this Brahman. Exists in Brahman. Yado va imani bodhani jayande yena jadani jivanti yat prayanti abhisamvishanti di tad brahmedi. What is that Brahman? From where everything arises? Yado va imani bodhani jayande yena jadani jivanti. Where it exists, the world, and where it goes back. Even if you subjectively look at that, this Brahman idea, subjectively, when you sleep, the whole world, your world collapses into that sleep, isn't it? Even subjectively. What we discuss is the whole thing. Now you look at your life. When you are in deep sleep, where is your world? It's all collapsed. And when you wake up, it expands. It expands. When you go to deep sleep, it collapses. That's your experience. That's your experience. This experience is, you are private to this experience. No scientist can dispute this. They can give you a lot of explanation, your brain is not functioning at that time, or very subconsciously, or all those things are there. But deeply, your experience is that when you are in deep sleep, your world collapses. When you wake up, everything comes out. So, these three definitions of Brahman must give you a wider understanding of things. Now, how do we make this Brahman reflection? Reflect on this. Reflect on this. In all your life's daily experience, you have to reflect on it. This Brahman idea, Brahman should be with you. This idea should be with you when you go through your small experiences. So you are not caught up in these small things now. You have a wider understanding to interpret and interact and respond to these situations. Otherwise, you feel like a balloon or a pot in the ocean, choppy ocean. You feel disturbed all the time. You don't have the depth. So, with this understanding of Brahman, we have to make it our experience now, deep experience. That's why my next talk will be on the Brahman experience. Because we have seen Shruti, Yukti, Anubhavam. Brahman experience. How do you make it a deep conviction and experience so that you are not disturbed by the little pinpricks of life, or as you go through the roller coaster of life, of being born and growing and becoming old and sick and then dying, all those things. In a roller coaster, if you have experienced that, they put you in a box and put a bar on your stomach and then fix you there. And then you trust the system, because an American system. India, you may not trust it, but American roller coaster you can trust. So you are put there, and then they launch it, and then it goes up and down through water and here and there, and you miss a heartbeat, and finally you come back. My God, what a wonderful experience, isn't it? Because you are safe in that seat, and you believe the system, and the system works. So similarly, if you can have that, this little going through the ups and downs of life, you have enough resource to deal with that and still keep your smile intact. That's the promise we are giving you. So the next talk will be, so reflect on these words and see the way we understood the whole thing. So I'll be talking about how do you make it a deep experience or conviction. So the next talk will be Brahma Anubhava, or the experience of enlightenment. How do you become a lighted up person? You become an ocean of love and all that. The deep conviction, enlightenment. We'll be discussing next talk. So this was a little heavy, so you have to reflect on this, and certain things are a little heavy, but once you go through this and become clear to you, and the rest will be very easy. So thank you very much for listening to this, and reflect on what I said. It's available on the YouTube. You can listen it again and again. This particular talk, you have to listen again and again. Otherwise, you will be missing things. Hari Om.